Okay, hello, Rob Freidman. Hello, everybody out there in the internet world. We're just getting started. You're in the right place if you're looking for the divorce class for Rob Freidman. My name is David Reckless. I'm just assisting the Rob today and doing the facilitation, and I'll be the one, if you have any issues during the course on seeing, hearing, etc., you'll be able to chat with me, and I'll do my best to resolve any issues that you have. We're going to give it about 4.5 minutes. Let everybody get joined in here. I see people are coming in pretty quickly here. And so, by the way, I'm the only one that's going to see your messages, but I see a bunch coming through. So hello, Carol, hello, Dinush, Sammy, Yin, Lois, Aaron, Michael, Karen. So I see people come in very fast and furious. So certainly feel free to tell me where you're from, etc. The way that the class is going to go today, again, we're going to get started in about 4 minutes. Rob Freidman's going to present the class, and afterwards we're going to do a Q&A session after that. And you'll be able to ask the questions through the chat, and I'll pick as many as I can and give them to Rob Freidman when we're done there. And so just give us a couple minutes to get started. Grab pen and paper. Feel free to take screenshots as well. And we're looking forward, and thanks so much for joining and being punctual. It's fantastic. I'm just going to put a message up here so people know what's going on. And thanks everybody for sending me your messages there. I know there's some appreciate the welcome messages, and I certainly can understand that there's some heavy feelings and emotions here as well too. So appreciate you sharing those also. Just give us another 3 minutes and we'll get started here. And okay. At this point, you should be able to hear and see us. Of course, if you can't do either, I'll just put that in the chat as well. And I'm going to go silent and off the air here while Rob Freidman's giving the class, and I'll come back on and help facilitate the Q&A. So just give another minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And again, thanks everybody for coming in so punctual. And again, yeah, you can post messages. The only person that's going to see the message is me. But feel free if you have any questions, whatever. There's a lot of people on, so I'll do my best to answer them all as quick as I can. No, there's not a telephone number to call in. This is only only online here. And again, keep your any questions you have for Rob Freidman in the Q&A, keep that for afterwards. If we can keep the chat right now for just anybody that might have any technical issues where the screen gets stuck or they drop volume or whatever, that way I can resolve that. But write your Q&A questions down if you'd like. Take notes on the course. Feel free to screenshot as well. And we're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. The book in the background is The Joy of Intimacy. It's a new book from Rob Freidman. Got a couple of those questions there. Okay. By the way, anytime if this freezes for you or seems stuck, I would just refresh your browser. It usually comes back. Usually it's an internet issue on your end. And if not, if worse comes to worse, you can always just close the window and then reopen the link that we sent you. Again, you don't need headphones or anything like that. We can't hear you. You only can hear us. So don't worry about any noise in your background, etc. And as far as will be available again, etc., I'm not sure. We'll make that decision after the event. Okay, so without further ado, Rob Freidman, take it away.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all the brave people who are doing incredible job keeping their life together and handling probably the most difficult challenge in a normal life. Let's see. Before we get to answering the questions and the problems and solving them and so on, it always helps to know that what we think, what we believe, what we understand, the way we view life is probably the most determining factor of how your life is going to go. You are what you believe, not what you eat, contrary to public opinion. You are what you believe. Your head ultimately leads the way and your heart follows. Sometimes we get stuck. The emotions won't follow, no matter what the head says. And we need a solution for that. Because in a healthy system, the mind dictates, the heart follows. Because the heart really doesn't know, it only feels. So what should it feel? How does it know to be afraid if you don't tell the heart that there's a danger ahead? How does the heart know to be happy if you don't give it good news? It's like the heart is inside the submarine and it doesn't see or hear anything. The mind is like the periscope that sticks up above the water and looks around to see what's going on. So what the periscope tells the people inside the submarine is going to determine how the people in the submarine are going to feel, how they're going to react, and how they're going to behave. So if we don't understand what marriage is, and most people don't, because we take it for granted. You're old enough, you get married. That's what your mother says, right? Got to get married. Time to get married. What exactly is marriage? Of course, we want every marriage to succeed. What's a successful marriage? If we don't know, we're at risk. You know, there are people who have successful marriages and they don't know it because they don't know what a marriage is and they don't appreciate the fact that they have a great marriage because they think marriage should be something else and it's not. So knowing, understanding, wisdom, absolutely crucial. So some people feel, what's the point of talking? I'm in pain. I've got problems. All the talk in the world isn't going to change anything. And in some way, that's true. If you have financial problems, all the talk in the world isn't going to pay the bill. If you have problems with your ex, our conversation isn't going to change him. So yeah, there are some things where you need intervention rather than wisdom. But certainly if we don't have the wisdom, we can easily get lost. We get verblunget, and then we can't fight our way out because we don't know up from down. So our conversations, our understanding, answering the questions is going to change your life, without a doubt. Hashkafa is everything. So let's at least briefly get a little picture of what exactly is marriage and when doesn't it work, or when it doesn't work, why? What are the things that go wrong? And I'm not talking about the obvious stuff. You know, if there's abuse, if there's mental problems, that's obvious. When there are these problems, then the question becomes not how do we succeed in marriage? Then the question becomes, why did this happen to me? It feels like a punishment. Why me? And I'll fight my way out. I'll survive. I'm grown up. I can handle this, but what about the children? So these are the painful issues that follow after the divorce. But first, let's understand a little bit, what is a good marriage? And what is the goal and object of marriage? Very briefly, marriage is a relationship, not a feeling. Under the chuppah, in a traditional marriage, the chassan does not promise to feel love, loyalty, obedience, the whole list of feelings, of emotions that in other traditions are mentioned and promised. None of that. The chassan says, we are now married according to the laws of Moshe and Yisrael. It's a relationship. It's a fact. Now you have to bring your feelings to that relationship and to that fact. Or in different words, once you establish the fact, you have to love the fact. Love the marriage you just created. Love the relationship you just entered. But what is a relationship? So, again, very briefly, a relationship stands on 3 pillars. Number 1, generosity. If you want to know whether you're ready to get married, the question you have to ask yourself is, am I generous enough for 2 people? Do I have room in my existence for another human being with a different set of needs, a different set of thoughts, independent will? Is there room in my life for that? And that takes generosity of spirit. You have to be generous with your possessions. Certainly men do. You have to be generous with your space. Some people are very uncomfortable if you enter their space. You have to be generous with your time. Some people are allergic to the loss of time. Some people are not generous with their words. They have all the right thoughts, but they won't say it. So generosity is the first ingredient or the first need in establishing a relationship. The second thing in a relationship is to protect it. A relationship that lasts for more than 2 weeks is already in danger. Boredom, too much familiarity, you get to know each other a little bit too well, and you start to lose respect, and you start to take each other for granted, and you start being critical, and now you're stuck with something you don't enjoy, and you become resentful, and eventually it leads to really, really bad behavior, which the person wouldn't do, the kind of behavior the person would never engage in outside the marriage, because basically a nice guy and a nice woman. So what is the expression? Familiarity breeds contempt. You have to set up a lifestyle where the familiarity is not destructive, because it very easily can be. So the second pillar is dignity. Maintain your dignity. Respect your spouse, respect yourself more than before. Every day more than the day before. Never deteriorate. Don't lower your standards at home. It's a very common American thing. Fathers say to their daughters, you can't go out dressed like that. Get dressed decent. The concern is going out dressed like that. But what about being home dressed like that? Is the home not important? Is the behavior at home not more important? So between husband and wife, you never lower your dignity with your spouse. You maintain it. You defend it. You protect each other's dignity. That's the second pillar. So it's generosity and respect. And the third pillar is sanctity. Marriage is not a personal arrangement. You don't just, well, I love you, you love me, okay, we'll get married. You don't do that. All over the world, for all of history, marriage always involved a religious ceremony. Why is that? Of course, you can get married without it. And yet, almost everywhere and almost always, there's a religious ceremony. And that's because marriage is not a human invention. It's not just a good idea. It may not even be a good idea. It's a divine plan. It's God's way of living. God invented marriage, so we got to do it his way. In fact, God also invented divorce, because he gets you in, he gets you out when necessary. So these are the three pillars. Be generous, be respectful and dignified. And number three, know that you're engaging in something bigger than you. It's not like, well, I thought I wanted to marry you. I thought it would be a good idea. I guess not. Oops, sorry, made a mistake. It's not that frivolous. It's much more serious than that. Much more serious than the pain that it will cause if it doesn't work. That's just a symptom. And the pain is considerable, as we all know. And yet that's not why we should take marriage seriously. Not because we're afraid of the pain or afraid of the disaster that divorce will bring, but because this is a sacred institution. When you're married, you feel like you're engaging in something bigger than both of you. And when there is something bigger than both of you, it unites you. You can both dissolve into that bigger something that humbles both of you and allows you to become one. So that's the picture of marriage. The relationship is we are going to engage in a divine institution, a divine arrangement that is God's way of living. And we're going to do this with generosity and with respect. What is the goal? The goal is this. Everybody talks about love. My husband doesn't love me. My wife doesn't love me. Where did all the love go? We want to get married because we're in love. Should I marry him? I like him. I respect him, but I don't love him. Everything seems to boil down to love, which is a mistake. And it's not Jewish. We don't worship love. If anything, we worship truth. Love is a feeling. It's a response. It's a reaction. What are we responding to? What are we reacting to? So it's not love. There is something much more valuable, much more precious, and much more important than love. And that is belonging. You can love someone, but you don't belong there. You can love someone, but you can't belong there. The feeling of belonging when you come home at night. Home. That's a powerful word. When's the last time you experienced a moment that was so perfect that you couldn't imagine anything better? And if time stopped and remained in that place or in that mood forever, you would be okay. When you come home, you're coming to where you belong. You're doing what you should be doing, without a doubt. And you're with the person that you belong to. Which means there's no place else you'd rather be. There's nothing else you'd rather be doing. And there's no one else you'd rather be with. If you have that experience, you're in heaven. It's heavenly. It's the delight of life. When you're someplace exciting, but you're thinking maybe I shouldn't be here, or there's someplace else I really need to be, that's not the same. You're doing something, but there's something else you ought to be doing. The pleasure is not complete. And you're with somebody, and it's very nice and exciting, but it's not the person you're supposed to be with. It's not who you belong with. Not the same. So having those three things come together. I am where I am meant to be, doing what I am meant to do, with the person I am meant to be with. That is heaven. Now maybe we can describe hell. You come to your house and it doesn't feel like you belong there. You're doing something at home and it's not what you should be doing. What's happening in the house, in the home, is not what should be happening. And you feel like the person you're with doesn't belong to you, or you don't belong with him. That's hell. And that's when divorce happens. So this is the goal of marriage. How do I find myself? How do I locate myself in a place, in an activity, and with another person? Where is this person I belong to? What is this activity I am meant to do? And where does all of that happen? That's a home. That's a family. That's a spouse. That's marriage. Is that too ambitious? Oh, maybe. But ambitious is good. You have a goal. You have an ideal that you're looking forward to. You're looking up to. You're reaching upward. That's a human being. That's a mensch. Okay, so here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to imagine that we can recapture this ideal and this objective. And of course, before we can, we have to at least alleviate some of the pain. You can't live in pain and function well. So, what we're going to cover in the actual workshop or podcast, what we're actually going to cover is how to get over the shock, because you can be in shock for years, literally suffering from shock. How to get over the shock, how to get over the guilt, how to get over the doubts about the future, how to handle the children's pain so that it doesn't overwhelm you, and how to prepare for the real thing in the future. Is this anything less than life-saving? And shouldn't this be, these conversations, shouldn't they be life-changing? Of course they should. That's not even asking a lot. That's the minimum. That's the least we can accomplish. And in our sessions, we have a number of sessions at Bish Hana throughout the year for single mothers. The experience has been incredible because the people who come there are amazing people. They're bigger than life. The way they handle things, the way they continue and raise their children and fight their battles and put up with all the mishigas. Very, very impressive. And when they get together and share all of that, it really is awesome. We have some practical advisors, financial issues, legal issues, and so on. But primarily, the view of life, a view of yourself, and a view of marriage that is healthy, that is optimistic, that is realistic, and ready. We're ready to go for it. As soon as the right moment arrives, we will be ready. So, should we get to some of the questions?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to jump back on here. Okay, fantastic. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead quickly and walk everyone through the in-depth workshop that Rob Freidman is going to be offering. Meanwhile, you can start thinking about the questions you'd like to ask Rob Freidman now, and you can send them in via chat. So hold on one second here. Okay. Okay, super. So you should see the slide deck here. So Rob Freidman, a in-depth workshop that's going to have basically four different sessions, June 6th, 13th, 20th, and 21st. If you can't make them live, the recordings will be available. But the 21st is going to be a live Q&A. So that's something that, again, you also try to come and achieve that, come to that one live as well. So the workshop itself is going to be going very deep, right? Today we started to scratch the surface. We're going to be, 45 minutes or so of Q&A here as well. But the workshop itself goes really, really deep. Obviously, these are very heavy, deep issues, and they all can't be solved in an hour's time. But in a 4-week workshop, through Rob Freidman's experience and guidance, we think we can take you very, very deep into this. Week 1 is going to be why me? Week 2 is going to be, am I ruining my kids' lives? Week 3, will I make the same mistakes again? And week 4 is going to be live Q&A with the Rav. So again, this is a paid course. Again, it goes very, very deep into the issues, and it's live with Rob Freidman. This is also something that helps support Rob Freidman's organization. It's good to know.org. And we appreciate you guys coming live to this seminar and Q&A today. For anybody that gets started and joins, we're also going to give you one of Rob Freidman's best-selling courses that we sell on our website, which is 9 Secrets to a Good Marriage. Again, it's a very deep class. It's very in-depth, and we sell it online for $197. And also, anybody that actually gets started today, so the workshop starts next week on Wednesday. Anybody that gets started today, we're also going to give you another bonus, something that we sell online for $97, and it's another workshop that Rob Freidman's done. It's three-part workshop, and it's do bad things happen to good people. And again, it really goes through that process and helps you understand, what's happening, why it's happening, etc. Okay, so how the workshop sessions work is like this. If you get started today, again, we're going to give you the 9 Secrets to a Good Marriage, which is a $197 program we sell online, and we're going to give you Do Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's a $97 value as well. The divorce workshop is $247, and you can go to workshop.itsgoodtoknow.org to sign up. We're going to limit the amount of people that get registered because I want to make sure that Rob Freidman can do the Q&A effectively in the last session. You're getting a $294 savings because we're giving you $294 in bonuses as well. Again, it's a very, very, very deep workshop. Into each of those issues in depth. Each one is its own separate topic, its own separate. We wrap the whole thing up with Rob Freidman with a Q&A at the end. So that's how that works. Again, you can go right now. I'll put the link in the chat as well to workshop.itsgoodtoknow.org. You also can ask me any questions via the chat, or if you're having any issue in etc. You also can ask me questions via the chat as well. And we're going to go ahead now over to the questions with Rob Freidman. So hold on one second. Okay, I see a lot of questions coming in. So, okay, I am going to do my best to hit all of them and in no particular order. One second here. Rob Freidman, are you online?
Yeah, I am here.
Just let me, I don't see Rob Freidman there. One second. Hold on one second. Go up. Okay. I don't see Rob Free. He's the one who needs to answer the question. So hold on one second here. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Thanks for throwing the questions over. Use my back channel here to see what's happening. Oh, you can hear him. Okay, so it sounds like I can't hear him. I love technology sometimes. Okay, you can see and hear him. That's fantastic. Okay, so let me do something here real quick and make sure that Rav can hear me. 1 second here.
I hear you.
Okay, so I can't see or hear the Rav, but everybody says that they can see and hear us both. So can the Rav hear me speaking?
Yes.
Oh, he said he can. Okay, he says he can hear me. So great. So Zalman, put the phone next to him so I hear him when he finishes going with the questions, and and I'm going to go. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Questions are going fast. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome with the participation. Thanks. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay. First question for Rabbi Freidman. What does the Rabbi mean when he says Hashem got you in and he will get you out?
Actually, if we consider how God arranges every shidduch, right? God makes every shidduch, brings people together. The angel announces who you're going to marry before you're even conceived. So it's all God's plan. And in his plan, you being married to your husband is what works, is what's necessary. And yet...
No, Zalman, they can hear and see him. Just put your phone next to the Rav so I can hear when he's finished with the question.
Yet God says, if it becomes so painful that you can't handle it, that you can't thrive under the circumstances, then God himself creates a process by which you can end the marriage, the get, and he gets you out of that marriage. If we would treat each other with that much consideration, although he arranged it, it was his idea, and he needs it for some reason to be that way. Yet if you are having too much pain, he will take you out with the get. He will sever that bond for you. So it's really a great kindness and a great humility on God's part. I'm God and I want it this way, but if it's too painful for you, then we'll do it your way. If husband and wife treated each other that way, then wouldn't be a need for divorce.
Okay, the next question for Rabbi Freidman. What is Beis Hana? He talked about a place for single mothers.
We started Beis Hana in Minnesota in 1970, and it was a crash course on Jewish thinking for women. And I think we've had about 30,000 women since the beginning. And it's a life-changing reorientation to exactly what is Judaism for those who never knew what it was, or for those who didn't get the right information or the right approach. So it's a lot of Hasidic insight. It's a lot of inspirational rearranging our relationship with God and so on. And it's been for college students, for teenage girls, for single, for couples. And then more recently, in the last couple of years, we added a few sessions for single mothers. We hesitated to do it, to be honest. We were afraid we'd just have a bunch of bitter women getting together and being bitter with each other or something. Nothing of the sort ever happened. These are incredible women, and they find strength in each other, and they give strength to each other. So if you go online, Beis Hana International, BAIS Hana International, You'll see the schedule of weekends for single mothers, and if you can attend, it'll be life-changing.
Okay, thank you. The next question for Rabbi Freidman: how can I expect my second the first?
How can I didn't get the question. How can I
expect my second marriage will be better than the first?
Well, first of all, you're so much smarter now. You're so much wiser now, and you're so much stronger now. How could it possibly be the same again? It can't. Secondly, whatever happened the first time has some mysterious purpose, and there's no reason to think that the same has to happen a second time. So there's really, I know some psychologists say that you have a tendency to you're attracted to all the wrong men. Maybe. But even that, if you change your mind, if you change your view, then you'll be attracted to different men. So you really need to you need to have the confidence that lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot, although sometimes it does. It's not going to happen again. Firstly, because why would God repeat the same test the second time? And secondly, because you're not the same person. You are not the same person, especially after this program.
Okay, thank you. The next question for Rabbi Freidman: I'm divorced for more than 15 years. The kids are grown up, no money issues, and no more fights with my ex. But again, is this a good class for me? It seems it's for people that are recently divorced.
It does seem that way. It's we're focusing on the raw pain that makes it sound like we're talking about recently divorced. But the dull pain after 15 years is also pain. And that needs to be fixed too. Just because you got used to the pain doesn't mean you should live with it. And also, if you're thinking of a future marriage, same ideas apply. So it will be useful no matter how long you're divorced.
Okay, super. A lot of people are asking me how to enroll in the workshop. So you do is you would open up another browser at the same time, another window. You would go to workshop.itsgoodtoknow. I'll take you right to the form specifically for this workshop, and you can sign up. If you have any issues, you can just text me here. Okay, the next question, I took that question, for Rob Freidman. How do you tell the difference between a problem and abuse? And the second part of that question is, can counseling fix an abusive situation?
I have seen some magical transformations where for a while I thought there's no way. The abuse is so intense, verbal, never physical. The verbal abuse, the neglect, and so on, it was so bad, I could not imagine that they should remain married for a single day. And it turned around. It seems like, any little friction in a marriage can create horrible reactions. But if you get rid of that friction, those reactions go away. So there's always hope. The question really is not what is possible, but what is right. When is it right to end a marriage? Even if there is a possibility of fixing it. But to fix it is going to take a long time. During that time, there's going to be more pain, more damage. Is it worth it? Should you? Is it the right thing to do? That's what we need to decide. So I think the question is, how do we know when we've crossed the line? As if to say, every couple has problems. That's okay. Marriage includes problems, but then you cross the line and it's abuse, and that doesn't belong in a marriage. In my first book, Doesn't Anyone Blush Anymore? Somebody said to me, I read your book, but there's nothing there about abuse. Why isn't there a chapter on abuse? Well, it's because if you're being abused, stop reading books. Put down the book and call the police. If you've crossed the border, if you're now dealing with criminal behavior, that of course is a whole different issue. And when have we crossed that border? The people inside the marriage are not in a position to judge that. Women put up with horrible abuse without realizing that this is absolute criminal behavior. This is not your husband in a bad mood, and all you have to do is calm him down. No, this is criminal behavior. So personally, my judgment is, if you were my daughter, would I allow you to stay in this marriage, or would I get you out of there as fast as possible? So you need someone outside the marriage to really identify that red line, to know when it's been crossed. Husbands, of course, can cross the line and insist that they didn't. Their judgment is off. Their perception is off. You need somebody outside the marriage, an objective view, to say, okay, this has gone too far. This is no longer a problem in marriage. This marriage is over. And by the way, the statement, marriage is not an option, divorce is not an option, is really very true. Divorce is not an option. You don't get married with divorce as an option. Marriage means forever and ever, in this world and in the world to come. That's marriage. It doesn't have the option of divorce. And that's because if divorce is not necessary, then it's not an option. And when divorce is necessary, it's not optional. It has to happen. So divorce is never an option. It's either wrong or it's right. And when it's right, it has to be. So going back to the original question, how do we know the difference between a problem in marriage and an abuse in marriage? That's the assumption that every marriage has to have problems. That's not kosher. It's not kosher. It's like saying, yes, we have a mitzvah to love our fellow Jew, but sometimes you have to hate them. No, you don't sometimes have to hate them. Yes, it happens that you do hate them because they're acting atrociously, but it's not like it's a necessary, unavoidable. There has to be a problem in every marriage. It's not true. There are marriages that are truly peaceful, comfortable, fluid, painless. Not that they don't share a problem like paying bills. It's not a problem in the marriage, as long as they're on the same page concerning the bills. So yes, there are challenges in life. Marriage gives you someone to face those challenges with. So the first thing that happens when you get married is that you don't ever feel alone in the world again. Until you're married, you are alone in the world. You have good parents, you have siblings, wonderful, but you're alone in the world because to your parents, you are not the only one. Even if you're an only child, because they have each other. So you're number 3. The only relationship in which you are the only one and therefore become one with the other is in marriage. And the reason I wrote the second book is when I realized people are not just arguing, disagreeing, falling out of love with each other, which we've kind of grown accustomed to. Now something else is happening that's even scarier. Good marriages, functional marriages. They have no complaints about their marriage. And yet, each of them feels alone in the world from time to time. That is really scary, because that is not supposed to happen when you're married. Never feel alone when you're married, because you're not. Even if you're separated by an ocean, you are married. There is somebody in the world that is the other half of you. You're never alone again. And to feel alone in a successful, functional marriage means that we're doing something fundamentally wrong. We have to rethink marriage. Not rethink it. We never thought about it in the first place. We just took it for granted. And it's not working. We have to understand marriage, appreciate marriage, study marriage. We have to be wise on the subject of marriage. Otherwise, we end up feeling alone in the world, even after being married. And that is, they're now saying that the feeling of being alone in the world is a health hazard. It destroys your immune system, makes you vulnerable to all sorts of stuff. So no, we're not meant to be alone. We don't want to be alone, and we can't survive being alone. So we need to solve this. We need to solve this, and we will.
Okay, thank you very much, Rabbi Freidman. The answers, I think, a lot of the questions that were coming through. Trying to chunk these questions into, the most. We're getting to so many questions here, hundreds and hundreds of questions. So I've had about 50 questions approximately about the workshop again. So I'm just going to cover it real quick. So the workshop starts a week from tomorrow. It runs for 3 consecutive weeks, the 6th, 13th, and 20th of June, followed by the 21st of June, a live Q&A session as well. Everything's live, but the Q&A session will be interactive. Week 1 will be dealing with the subject of why me. Week 2, am I ruining my kids' lives? We have a lot of stuff here on kids. I'll hit 1 or 2 questions, but rightfully so. There's a lot of questions here about raising the children. Will I make the same mistakes again? Is week 3 focus, and then open Q&A on week 4. Anybody that gets started today, and I'll send out an email afterwards as well to everybody that participated. You can go right now if you want to workshop.itsgoodtoknow.org to get signed up. Once you get signed up, you get an email with the information about the workshop. And tomorrow you'll receive links to the 9 Secrets to a Good Marriage course from Rob Freidman. There's 3 recorded calls. There's bonus worksheets. There's a bonus Q&A session there. There's bonus access to previous information on the topic on the course. It's all delivered via downloadable files. We sell that for $197 on itsgoodtoknow.org. Also, anybody that signs up today before midnight Eastern time will also receive a 3-part course that's downloadable. You'll receive the links tomorrow called Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? The full cost for the divorce workshop is $247. There's other bonuses I just talked about, the 9 Secrets to Good Marriage and Do Bad Things Happen to Good People. That's completely free. It's a bonus gift for joining today. And that's how the course works. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me here. But hopefully that answers them for you. Again, you can go to workshop.itsgoodtoknow.org. If you have any problems, just throw it in the chat. There's a couple hundred people on here, so I'll get to the questions as fast as I can, guys. Okay. The next one here I'm going to take, 1 second. 1 second here. 1 second here. Just trying to sort through my chat here. Okay, can't keep. There's too many questions coming through. So 1 second here. Let me go back to the top. Okay. For a husband to emotionally cheat on his wife with another woman, the key word there I think is emotionally. Is that grounds for divorce?
It's not necessarily grounds for divorce. And it's usually a symptom of something else going on as well. It's different in every case. You have to know the people, what came before, where is it leading. But in and of itself, no, it's not grounds for divorce. Certainly not. People drift. They lose sight of their purpose in life, and when they sober up, they're back in a healthier and stronger way. So that certainly can happen. You have to figure out what lies behind this behavior. If it's just silliness or irresponsibility, or is it something more sinister? But no, in answer to the question, by itself, emotional infidelity is not grounds for divorce.
Okay, super. Thank you. The next question for Rabbi Freidman. How do you not feel like a second-class citizen and still have pride in yourself and your family?
Being divorced.
No, I think being in the marriage.
In an abusive marriage. Let's get the question clear. How do you feel? How do you not feel like a second-class citizen when you're being abused?
No, it doesn't. So it doesn't fully say. The question is, how do you not feel like a second-class citizen and still have pride in yourself and family? If it's not clear, I can ask them to resubmit it.
Okay, let's assume the question is, if you're divorced and a single mother, how do you not feel like a second-class citizen? I can imagine that is a painful reality. You walk into a program, a party, a shul, and everybody is there with their spouse, with their family, and you're there with your kids. How do you not feel like a second-class citizen? I think that's one of the heavy-duty sessions we're going to have. The guilt feeling. You would feel like a second-class citizen if the divorce was your fault. Not necessarily that you caused it, but that somehow you deserved it. You feel like a second-class citizen if you're assuming that if I had been a bigger mensch, if I was smarter, if I was stronger, I would have avoided the divorce. And I didn't. I failed, and now I'm a second-class citizen. Is that assumption true? There's something you could have and should have done that would have saved the marriage? If you're divorced, it means you are a failure. Obviously, the marriage was a failure. Does that mean you're the failure? Certainly not. Certainly not. On the contrary, a hero is someone who handles what needs to be handled like a mensch. So in the marriage, you did what you needed to do. You tried your best. You were a mensch. And now when you're divorced, you're doing the same. You're responsible. You're doing what you need to do, acting like a mensch. There's no second-class citizenship here. None whatsoever. But this is a topic that we really need to get into, which I think will be in the second session.
Okay, fantastic.
About the guilt that we're carrying.
Thank you, Rav Freidman. Next question for the rabbi. If you feel alone in the world while married, what does that mean?
Very briefly, and again, we'll talk about this in the actual course. When a man says, I love everything about my wife, I really do. I love everything about her. I love the way she cooks. I love the way she talks. I love the books she reads. I love the same activities. I love everything about her. It's still possible that she will feel alone in the world because he's so focused on those things, he never focuses on her. So when a husband tells me, I love everything about my wife, I become suspicious. You love everything about her. And her? Just her? He doesn't know what that means. I mean, what's her without the things? See, that's why she's alone in the world. I mean, to make it really clear, if a man says to a woman, I'd like to marry you for your money, I love you for your money. We all know that that's ridiculous. He doesn't love her for the money. He loves the money. I'm not marrying you for the money. I'm marrying the money. And since you have to come along with it, all right, I'll put up with you. But I'm married to the money. And the proof is, if you lose the money, there's no place for you in my life. It was only about the money. So now let's say a man says to a woman, he reads off a list that he prepared. I want to marry you for your money, for your looks, for your sense of humor, for your family, for your values, for your character. Oh, is that any better? So now he's married to 6 different things, still not married to her. You feel alone in the world because your husband is focused on some aspect of you, not you. And to understand what that means, we'll need a little more time. What is a person above and beyond the things? When people say, why can't you love me for me? Why can't you accept me for who I am? And usually the response is, well, who am you? Who are you besides these things that I appreciate? We don't know what to say. What is the essential connection between him and her beyond things? If a wife asks her husband, why do you love me? Is there a good answer? Will any answer be acceptable? No. Because he's going to say, I love you for this, for that. That's not me. That's not me. So when a husband compliments his wife and says, I love your cooking, that's nice. It's nice. Go to a good restaurant, the cooking is even better. That's what you're married to? Of course not. So whatever it is you're going to say, I love you for this or that, wrong answer. The answer she's looking for is, I cannot be me without you. What does that mean? How do we get there? Is it a good thing? This is what we need to study. We need to understand. And we will.
Super. Thanks, Rabbi Freidman. Next question for Rabbi Freidman. How can a wife get past her resentment to her abusive ex-husband so she can move forward? It's not something that vanishes so quickly or easily.
Yeah. The question of the hour. How do we get past it? How do you not remain victimized? This is probably the primary, most important issue for a divorced person. How do you move on? Particularly if there are children and he's going to be in your life legally for a long, long time. So how do you live with him when you can't live with him? But the question is, what is the abuse that you experienced? What is it today? What is it doing to you today? If it was just in the past, we could move on. But sometimes it doesn't settle into the past, and it feels like it's still happening. I'm still feeling it. I'm still paying the price for it. Why does that happen? Why can't it just stay in the past? It's over. It's done with. We're divorced. I'm free. I'm starting my own life, a new life. Why is that not happening? What's holding me to the past? And there are a few possibilities which we will explore and get rid of it. Now, sometimes, frankly speaking, the pain, the agony has settled into your bones. It's not in your mind anymore. It's not in your heart anymore. It has become a physical sensation, like arthritis in your bones. Then you need to get a medical solution, an alternative, not antidepressants, but something that will release the emotion from your muscles, from your bones, from your DNA, because it has really settled into the body. And for that, there are healthy solutions, safe, healthy solutions, and that might be necessary. So we'll explore all of that.
Okay, super. Next question for Rabbi Freidman. If someone's married and remarried, and the second marriage is better for them, what was Hashem's purpose for the first marriage?
Many years ago, I was introduced before an audience, before I spoke, and the introduction included the statement that we had 11 children at the time. Anyway, I spoke for over an hour. And at the end of the hour, someone raised their hand and said, 11 children? She was stuck an hour ago in that state. She never got past that statement. 11 children? I said, yes. She said, do you know that some people don't have any children? It sounded like an accusation. And for a moment, for a brief moment there, I felt guilty. It's so not nice. You take 11 and you leave some people without any? But then I realized you can't have somebody else's children. So it's not like I took someone else's children. And that's true, isn't it? You can't have somebody else's children. Well, imagine if I could marry the wrong guy. Imagine if I could marry the wrong woman. If we're not meant to be married to each other and we have children, then those children are wrong. They're not our children. We're not supposed to be having those kids. This is really crazy, no? Just like you can't have someone else's child, you can't be married to someone else's spouse. Can't. The marriage, particularly if there were children from that first marriage, was obviously meant to be. It accomplished something fantastic in God's vast eternal plan, and then God has another plan for you where you're going to accomplish another fantastic, important detail in the big picture of creation. Sometimes we'll get to see what that first marriage was for and what was valuable about it. Usually we don't get to see it, but we know you can't be married to the wrong person. And if you're married to a second spouse, that can't be a mistake either. So it's never a mistake. It's always meant to be. If we're blessed and privileged, we'll get to see what the purpose was. If we're just ordinary, we don't usually get to see. But we have no doubt. Never a mistake. And no pain. We got to remember this. No pain, not even the slightest discomfort, is insignificant to God. Before he allows a person to suffer even a slight pain or disappointment, there's a cheshbon, there's a judgment. Should this happen? Will this be for the best? It never happens for no reason. It certainly doesn't happen for a malicious reason. It can't be, not in God's world. So whatever pain you suffered, it is all inscribed in a book. There's a record being kept. It stands to your merit. It's meant to be, and it is always for the good. So not only was the marriage meant to be, even the pain that came from it. It is not frivolous. And we need to talk about this, and we need to understand how every pain on earth causes a greater pain in heaven. We got to get rid of this impression that God is sitting up there invulnerable, like on vacation, watching us suffer through the difficulties of life. That's a bad picture. That is not at all what's going on in reality. So I think it's exciting, not only necessary and crucial to have these conversations that we're going to have. I think it's exciting. It's a whole new world once we get our head on straight about God, about life, about birth, about health, and certainly about marriage and children. Got to get it right. Got to get it right. And then life looks wonderful again.
Thank you, Rabbi. Question, Rabbi Freidman, a lot divorce with kids. I'm divorced without any kids and feel even more alone. Is this workshop going to be beneficial for me?
Well, first of all, count your blessings. In many ways, not having children gives you greater opportunity in the future. You're not burdened with the expenses and with the stresses. So consider yourself lucky. And yes, the program is for you because you're also going to want to get married again. And you also need to understand what happened to that marriage. And you also have the question or the doubt in the back of your mind, will this happen again? Will I make the same mistake? What was the mistake? Got to know all this stuff. So by all means, join us.
Super, thank you. Rabbi, next question. What if your husband, so this sounds like the person's still married, criticizes everything you do, what you do, how you do it, everything? Is that grounds for divorce?
No, it's not grounds for divorce. But it is grounds for a little therapy. And not necessarily professional psychological therapy, but just, a person who's always critical. Where's he coming from? Where's he coming from? What happened in his life that makes him behave this way? It's irrational. Why would he behave that way? If he could figure it out and he could realize what he's doing, he will stop. Now, criticizing is not an addiction. As soon as he realizes how wrong it is, he'll stop. So the question is, how do we get him to realize? But no, it's not grounds for divorce.
Okay, thank you. What's the best thing I can do for my kids after divorce?
Maintain your sense of humor and maintain your optimism of the future. That's the most important. Don't pamper them. Don't treat them like victims. Don't overindulge them because they're so unfortunate. Don't do that. Maintain your sense of humor about life and maintain your optimism about the future. And they'll pick it up and they'll benefit greatly from it. That's a short answer.
Great. Okay, super. Regarding somebody who's older and is divorced, how do you overcome the bitter feeling of, I gave my best years and now I'm meant to be alone forever?
Some guy once said to me, I have been good to my wife for 8 years. What have I got to show for it? What are you supposed to have to show for it? A halo? A medal? What should you have to show for it? A happy wife? If you were good to her for 8 years and she's not happy, I'm a little suspicious. People generally are happy when you're good to them. So what are you looking for? You see, now I understand why he's not a good husband. He's looking for something. He's not focused on her. Maybe he decided that he's going to be a good husband whether she likes it or not. That happens a lot. He was not thinking what she needs, what she wants, what's good for her. He was thinking, what will make me a great husband? And he did what he thought would make him a great husband. Of course, she doesn't appreciate it because it's not about her. So he thinks she's just ungrateful. So he invested his best efforts. He gave it the best shot. She just doesn't care and she doesn't appreciate. You know, if you gave it your best years, you gave it your best effort, your sincerest effort, then you are successful in life. The marriage didn't work, but your life worked. Don't equate the two. In God's book, you did everything right. That doesn't count? That's nothing? I mean, you can be humble about it if you want. And you can say, nah, it was nothing. Okay, it's nice to be humble. But in fact, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. And what can be better than doing what you're supposed to do? We don't measure life by success. Rich people are not necessarily better people. They're more successful. It doesn't mean that they're doing the right thing, that they're successful in life as a human being. These are two separate things. So if you really gave it your best shot, you did what you thought was right, you tried your best, you have nothing to regret. Nothing. And concerning the future, I don't know if you're going to be alone forever. I guess that's your own decision. And if you decide that you're not going to get married again at your age, then there's another chapter of life waiting for you. It's not over. You can serve God in many ways. Usually, he wants you to serve him within the structure of a family. Sometimes he needs you to serve him independent of a family. So go for it. You gave the marriage the best shot. Now give your single life your best shot.
Okay, super. I'm going to do one more question for Freidman, and thank you for the hundreds of questions that came in that we haven't gotten to, but he has another engagement coming up. I just want to quickly, because people are asking still about the workshop. So to be clear, the paid workshop starts next week. It's June 6th, 13th, 20th, 21st. Recordings will be made available if you miss a session. It's very, very in-depth. All these questions and many more. He's going to be going very deep, well under the surface to help the healing process happen. That's why it's a class that goes over 4 different sessions. For anybody that gets started, today we're going to also give you a copy at no charge for 9 Secrets to a Good Marriage. It's really a fantastic course with 3 different sessions that Rob Freidman did, bonus worksheets, bonus Q&A at the end as well, access to previous course material on the product on the topic. It's something we sell on itsgoodtoknow.org for $197. It's also going to include anybody gets started by midnight tonight. Do bad things happen to good people? It's another 3-part course from Rob Freidman. Total cost for the workshop is $247. And that includes all the bonuses as well. You just go to workshop.itsgoodtoknow.org. I'll also send an email to everybody that was on the call, so you'll have that in there as well. So you can click directly to that link. And if you have any other questions, again, you can ask me right now here in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer the questions on that as well. Once Rob Freidman has to leave, I can stay on and try to answer some more questions as they relate to the course. Okay, the last question here. And forgive me if I didn't take your question. I think here's one that I think was asked a few different times. We didn't touch on it. So there seems to be a stigmatism on children that come from a divorced house, especially when it comes to their future shidduchim. What would how do you overcome that? What's the Rab's thoughts on that?
Very briefly, we have a habit or a tendency to think of life in statistics. How many people will be interested in a child from a divorced family? What is the statistic for bad marriages? We shouldn't go like that. We don't live by statistics. they're useful somewhere, someplace, but not for life. You're going to marry the person you are destined to marry, regardless of your situation. It's like, how many men will be willing to marry me with 5 children? How many? You're not marrying many. There's one man who is going to marry you with your children, because that's the divine plan. That's what is meant to happen. So how many is really an irrelevant question. It's an annoying question. What are men today looking for? Don't do that. You're not marrying men, and it doesn't matter what they are looking for. You're looking for your shidduch. You're looking for your zivug. You're looking for your other half, or third, or quarter if you're getting married for the 4th time. That's who you're looking for. And that's all you're interested in. You don't need many of them. You just need him. So stop thinking in numbers. Stop thinking in statistics. Think God's plan. God wants you married much more than you want to be married. He invented it. He stays up all night making shidduchim. So yes, you're going to find the person that God has intended for you as the 2nd husband or 3rd husband, and you're going to marry him, or he's going to marry you. How many such people are there? None of your business. You're only marrying him. And the same is true if you can't marry a kohen now that you're divorced. Well, that limits the possibilities. You don't need possibilities. The person you're going to marry isn't a kohen, so what are you worried about the kohanim for? That's what we need to get our head on. Straight, correct, and godly. We got to think from God's perspective a little bit, because looking up from where we're sitting, things don't look so good. Things don't look so clear. We don't know what we're doing. But if we look from the top down, everything falls into place. So let's get on with it. Let's do this. And look up Beis Hana if you're looking for a weekend of real learning and real healing. Beis Hana International.
Okay. Rabbi Freidman, thank you so much for taking all those questions and for giving the class in the beginning. I know you're running off to another engagement, so you can just stop your video and microphone, but leave the event running, and I will take any questions regarding people trying to get enrolled in the course or any questions regarding the course.
Thank you so much. Sei gesund.
Okay. And thanks everybody so much for attending. I'm really sorry we couldn't get to all the calls. I mean, oh my gosh, there were hundreds of calls, hundreds of questions. I'm sorry, and I can't. The Rav can't be here for hours, and my expertise is not in this to answer them. But again, if you have any questions about the signing up for the course, etc., I am more than happy to go ahead and stay on it for a few more minutes and try to answer them for you. And again, thank you so much for joining, and hope you guys were able to receive some benefit from the Rav's time, and wish you only success in the future and healthy relationships and healthy children and all the healing you need from going through this process. So again, I'm going to turn my video off, but I'm going to go ahead and my audio, but I'm just going to stay on here and answer any questions. Oh, by the way, people are asking, so are you going to get a copy of this, a replay? God willing, right? I mean, I said it's a replay, and if it replayed, I'm going to send it to you. But, I didn't even get to see the Rav on half the class here, so sometimes there's technical issues. But assuming that that's all good and the replay worked properly, then in a few hours, I'll send it out to you, okay? And thanks again. And for those of you that also had technical problems, I'm sorry. I also experienced them. That's why I had the phone in my head for the last 45 minutes while I couldn't hear or see the Rav, and I had to have a phone next to him so I could make sure he heard the questions and answered them. So again, thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys attending, and we'll be going. And any, by the way, when I send the email later, if you have any questions about anything here, I can't promise the questions are going to answer, but any questions about the replay or what have you, just reply to it. We'll do our best to answer all of them, okay? Again, I'll stay on here and take questions. I'm just going to turn my video and my mic off. Thanks again, guys.